And a very good afternoon to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the CBC News Break. Well, more than 20,000 income tax refunds are expected to be released by the Barbados Revenue Authority by weekend. Finance Minister Chris Sinclair made the revelation as he delivered the financial statement and budgetary proposals last evening.
In fact, I can say, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we have indeed been able to pay over $30 million of the amount already in returns. And this week alone, Mr. Speaker, sir, I can tell you right now, at the office of the Barbados Revenue Authority, the staff is stuffing 24,000 envelopes for returns to be paid this week.
The Finance Minister also says while the economy is rebounding, the job is not yet done, and government will have to get the deficit down to more sustainable levels to capitalize on the foundation laid for economic growth. He also announced a cess on milk.
I now propose that effective August 1st, 2015, that a cess on all milk and milk substitutes be implemented. The cess should have two rates: a 5% rate for milk products containing 60% or more of liquid cow milk, fresh cow's milk, and a 10% for all other milks and milk substitutes. The only exception to this will be local goat's milk. The local goat milk industry, which would be exempted.
The Finance Minister also announced that a new basket of basic food items, which will be exempted from the 17.5% VAT, will take effect from this September.
Therefore, with effect from September the 1st, 2015, a new basket of basic items, which has been appended to this budget statement, will be enforced as the applicable basket with full exemption from the standard VAT rate of 17.5%, and that which will be applied. All other food items in the original basket, not covered in this new one, will be subject to the standard rate of VAT at 17.5%.
The Finance Minister also announced a compromise in the dispute with waste haulers as a new tipping fee of $40 per load will go into effect.
That the tipping fees remain in place with the appropriate amendments to take into account legitimate concerns of the waste haulers and to be worked out between them, the Ministry of Environment, and of course the SSA and all relevant stakeholders. Two, that the fees be set at the following indicative rates: $40 per load for all categories of waste tipped at the waste treatment facility, inclusive of municipal solid waste, rock and soil construction demolition waste, green waste, and coconuts. Liquid waste delivered to be handled by the SSA also will be at a charge of $40 per truck.
And the budget debate continues today with a response from opposition leader Mia Mottley and contributions from other parliamentarians. Well, of course, the 2015 budget remains the talking point for several business leaders. Many came together at the annual post-budget presentation to dissect and discuss the good and bad in the budget. There was consensus among many who believed that the budget was more focused on revenue generation, though there were some areas that were welcomed. President of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Tracy Shuffler, says businesses wanted to hear of the potential impacts. Ms. Shuffler is of the view that there is still a need for clarity in some areas in the budget presentation.
There's a lot in the budget that still requires clarity. And we have found that in the past, when we seek clarity, when we need to get clarity on something, it takes longer than we would like. And when all that time it's taking to get clarity or to understand specific measures, the clock is already ticking. So are you going to be less or more likely to be able to implement something if it's not clear? I believe less. And I think that's really where some of the challenges have come from in terms of implementation. We will try to seek clarity on a number of the issues that at this point are not clear.
Meantime, economist Dr. Winston Moore questioned whether all of the tax measures can be implemented within the short time frame. Dr. Moore welcomed the setting up of a credit bureau and gave his take on the proposed excise tax on cell phone calls. He is of the view that this can lead to some strange behavior among mobile users here. Meantime, CEO of Banks Holdings Limited, Richard Cozier, says there were a few surprises in the budget, and he shared his company's concerns given the imposition of a tax on soft drinks.
In one area it's going to be positive, in the other area there's a slight negative. But we support, as Tracy did, anything to deal with non-communicable diseases. In our business, we would like our consumers to live very long lives and keep consuming. And that is something that we would want in every society. I'm sorry, every society would want to do. The levying of the tax will force manufacturers like us to look again at some of our formulations where we can.
And President of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Sunil Chaturani, says that the BHTA had not lobbied for much in terms of benefits from the budget. He, however, again pushed for the promised concessions.
Yes, the minister alluded or said that how it's been successfully legislated, and he's correct. It has been successfully legislated, but we sit here today and still don't have access to these concessions. So all the policies that you're talking about now, let's see how successful they will be in being implemented.
Minority groups such as homosexuals should not be treated unfairly, especially when seeking essential services within the country. This is the view of the Executive Director of the Barbados Family Planning, Juliette Bino-Sutherland. She is concerned about a recent increase in discrimination against such persons, and in an interview with CBC, Mrs. Bino-Sutherland called for greater acceptance of homosexuals regardless of one's moral views.
The human rights issue becomes important to ensure that we provide environments that people, these at-risk communities, feel comfortable that they can come to confidentially and access services. And part of that is really being able to normalize the discussion and accept that there are people in our community who are pursuing diverse lifestyles, who are lesbian, who are gay, who are transgendered.
Mrs. Bino-Sutherland adds that it is most important for a society to accept that such persons exist and therefore must be respected.
I think there has to be much more societal dialogue. I think there has to be some consensus building. I think the church can have its position, but the church can say, we don't believe this is against our principles and precepts, but we can work with you in saying no violence, that we're not against beating or vilifying or discriminating against people who are gay.
Local fisheries authorities are urging local fishermen not to catch or sell small dolphins. Chief Fisheries Officer Stephen Willoughby says this indiscriminate action makes it impossible for the dolphin population to grow. He said that the young dolphins were being caught as they sheltered and fed in the sargassum seaweed, which is floating along the island's coastline. Mr. Willoughby pointed out that if fishing was not done responsibly, the stock of dolphin could decrease significantly, which would eventually lead to smaller catches and, of course, lower earnings. A marriage seminar is being held for couples interested in tying the knot. This comes as the Seventh-day Adventist Church promotes healthy relations to the public. Family Director of the Breath of Life Seventh-day Adventist Church, Anthony Rudder, says one of the downfalls in many marriages is a lack of communication.
The husband or the wife may say something and the other partner misinterpret what they say. And when that happens, it creates a rift in the family.
And the seminar is open to all and will be at the Courtyard by Marriott's on June the 28th. Well, stay with us. Coming up, regional and stories.
Sunday, June 21st.